this, Fox News is confirming that President Trump is set to sign a historic executive order later today. This is on top of that rare earth minerals signature. And this would establish that our country would have a first ever official language that would be English. Now, Trump's order will declare English as the national language of the United States. It also rescinds a Clinton-era mandate that requires federal agencies and recipients of federal funding to provide language assistance to non-English speakers. This move is something the president promised to voters on the campaign trail, where he talked about uniting the country under one language a little over a year ago.
We have languages coming into our country. We don't have one instructor in our entire nation that can speak that language. These are languages. It's the craziest thing. They have languages that nobody in this country has ever heard of.
You know, it's interesting, Tommy. We've never had an official language in the country. We will, I guess, starting today. We know 30 states have said English is the official language. And J.D. Vance, interestingly enough, as a senator, proposed an act to do just this, ended up not going anywhere.
Some folks might look at this as small or petty, kind of like the Gulf of America. But for me, it's really Donald Trump saying, we're going to put America first. And let me show you all the ways we're going to put America first. We're going to respect that our language is English. We're going to call it the Gulf of America. We're going to be proud of our country. The apology tour for the United States is over. And we're going to be proud to be American. And this is the language that we speak here. I also think that this is part of reinforcing the immigration stance that this president has. Listen, you're not going to come into our country from all over the world and establish yourself. You are a visitor. You will speak English. You will learn our ways. You will assimilate into our culture. To me, this is just further signifying that. And I think it's a great step in saying this is our country and we're not going to let our culture and our values go out the window. This isn't a globalist, idea or narrative anymore. And I think it's great for the America First agenda.
And Emily, we're a diverse nation. That's very obvious. But we also are a nation, according to the Census Bureau, where 78% of households use English as their primary language. So this is kind of solidifying something that is, in fact, very much the case for the majority of U.S. households.
Right. And some argue, look, it's obvious. We're part of the Anglosphere anyway. This is, how it's sort of been. So why are we concretizing what already has been in existence? And I think that the argument over efficiency and this commitment to stewarding our taxpayer dollars is where the crux of the argument would be best made. So if this means that all court documents and all everything and all the money that we pay in the millions of translations, if that sort of only puts that onto an as-needed basis, is that cheaper? Great. Is this something then that will be sort of streamlining the judicial process and a lot of the administrative beast process? And if so, I think that, frankly, that's quite easier. But I hope, a lot of people, I think, are going to thwart this. Critics will thwart this and call it a racist undertone, when the reality is that it's simply, I think, for streamlining efficiency, an important note to make about the unity under this U.S. American flag. But I think as long as we're not wasting money and saving money, then it's a great argument.
And Steve, assimilation has always been a part of the idea behind U.S. immigration. That is why there is a requirement that you demonstrate an ability to read, write, and speak English on a naturalization test.
Absolutely. Because we're in the land of the free, I think it's always been felt that you should be able to, you should be free to speak whatever language you want to. A friend of mine out in New Jersey, his father-in-law died about 2 weeks ago. To the day he died, in New Jersey, every day he lived there for 50 years, he spoke Croatian. And he lived a kind of a narrow life because there weren't many people who spoke Croatian. But that's just one of the things that goes on. When I went and passed my New Jersey driver's license test, there was a question, do you need a translator? And I think there were like 30 or 40 different translators of different languages who could assist me. But ultimately, it comes down to, if you want to be in the United States, to your point, Kayleigh, to pass a citizenship test, you have to be able to read, write, and speak English. It's just the cost of admission to this great big club.
Jerry.
Right. And, I'm kind of surprised we haven't done this already, right? That was my shocker at reading this story.
Same.
But I will say one thing. This is one of the problems that Europe has had in integrating all the immigrants into their culture. They live separately, they speak different languages, they cannot communicate, and it has created chaos for so many countries there.
I think the flip side, I will say this. My grandfather never spoke English. He only spoke Sicilian.
That means you
Italian.
probably speak it a little bit, too.
Well, I'm from the generation where my dad wanted us to be Americans, so he didn't want us to speak what he thought was a dying language. So it was hard for us because I couldn't understand what my grandparents were saying. So I can get the gist, but And I think at the time, those homogeneous communities were important. But you can argue now that the extreme complexity and diversity means that this is a move toward a commonality that everyone can share, rather than those distinct groups that needed that comfort zone to thrive.
Well, be bilingual. That's great. Speak 2 languages.
Yeah,
Speak
right.
3 languages. That's fine by me. But one of them should be English.
Yep. And President Trump said the goal here is unity, according to the White House readout that was provided to the Wall Street Journal. 250 years, no national language. That changes today.